Hey guys, the Lord here, back again with another edition of Throwback Thursdays, and what I have for you today is the McFarlane Toys, or Todd Toys if you're familiar with this era of the company, Spawn Series 2, Angela. That's right, today we are taking a look at good old Ginger Snap herself, and since I no longer have the packaging for this figure, let us move right along to the accessories, which she only really comes with one we're talking about anyways. She has another one that's on her person at the moment, but she comes with this big ass staff, spear, halberd thing. Okay, so something to note. It has blade here, little blades at the bottom, which this piece actually broke off on mine, but it's been glued on thanks to Mr. Brian, aka my dad, aka the old man. And then it has this very peculiar looking spear tip at the top, which of course, since it's the 90s, it shoots out. Not well, mind you, but yeah, this. There you go. Third time's a charm, right? But, yeah, cool, I guess. It is freaking tall, though. It's taller than the figure itself. But setting that to the side, taking a closer look at Angela here, getting right into the meat and taters of this review. You didn't think I was going to forget that line, did you? She does have a sword stored in the sheath on her back, which she can hold in her right hand here. Handle's a little short, if I'm being honest, but she does have a tight enough grip on that to get by. Looks cool, you know, it's the infamous Angel Hunter sent to kill. Good old Al Simmons, aka Spawn. She was a core character of the series. And unfortunately, she is not owned by the Todd father anymore. She's owned by one of her co-creators, I think, who went to work for Marvel, so she is now a part of the Marvel Universe, part of Thor's kin, I believe. She's Asgardian. I can't English, I swear. But at any rate, this is a cool figure. She's got the big boot with the blade on the side, because of course. And then she just has a knife in her heel here. Right on the back of her heel, she's got a knife stored. You can't pull that out or anything, but she's got that going on. She's got a thigh strap here with what looks to be another weapon on it. Yeah, another knife, of course. She's got a big old gauntlet over here. Or a big old arm pad, I guess. And then she's got wraps on this side. She's got shoulder pauldrons with spikes on this side. And then this side just has segmented pieces. She's got a bikini because, you know, going into battle against the forces of hell, the only thing you really need is an armored breastplate and exposed belly button, right? I'm kidding, of course. You would freaking die, but it was the 90s. It was comics. That's how they looked. I mean, just look at Lady Death or Witchblade or any super smoking hot 90s comic book character that wasn't under the Marvel or DC license. I mean, all the independent guys, they're just like, let's take all the clothes off and just put some armor on them, you know? Because why not? She's got the black metal face paint, too. So, much like the Frost King, she listens to way too much Dark Throne. Doesn't look like the guy from Dark Funeral, though, unlike the Frost King, thankfully. She looks more like, I don't know, Teela's cooler sister, maybe, from Masters of the Universe. She's got little Spawn earrings, so even though she hates him, she secretly loves him. And she did bone him one time, so there you go. Well, I guess she wouldn't be boning him. I guess he would be boning her, right? Let's not get it twisted. And speaking of bones, this is not the party time variant. She has white panties underneath. There is a version with no panties at all. Because I guess McFarlane toys were a bunch of perverts back in the day. Yeah. I guess you could consider them perverts now, because they're the only ones giving female figures actual, chunky breasts and booties. Which is how the characters are drawn. It's not because they're perverts. So, to each their own. But this figure's really cool. I still like it to this day. Angela was probably my first fictional character crush, like actual fictional character crush. Because, look at her. She's smoking hot. Maybe not this figure, but the comic book, she was smoking hot. And she could both take care of me and whoop my ass at the same time. So, I kind of like that in the lady. Kind of. I am the Overlord. I need to be the dominant force, but, even Overlord needs protection sometime, right? What am I talking about? At any rate, articulation on this figure. Her head will rotate a little bit. I kind of like how she has a little bit hanging out the top here of her little crown piece. Her arms will move forward and back. Single joint at the elbow. Not the ugliest looking elbow either. I think she's got like the full wraparound joint there. It's not like the half split thing. Nothing in the wrist. Nothing in the waist. And then she's got V-cut hips. Kind of? Are they V-cut? Can't tell. Yeah, they're V-cut. She can do spread eagle if you want. Yeah, we're getting plowed. And then she's got a single knee. This leg's a little warped on mine. Probably just because she's been standing on the shelf. She's in this kinky pose. She's got her hip thrown out and whatnot, so, it's whatever. And as far as getting her to hold a spear, there is like one blade piece. I want to say it's this one. And if you clip it around her fingers here, you kind of get it to sit. It's not perfect, so I'm probably just going to leave that off for this video. Just so she doesn't, drop it on the freaking float. Breaks again, because that's how good that plastic is. Like, seriously, no joke, that plastic is not the best. If you're familiar with these vintage Spawn figures, you know exactly what the hell I'm talking about. But at any rate, that's Angela in a nutshell. One of my favorite figures from this vintage Spawn line. She's from what I think is the superior era of the kind of gimmicky, more kid-oriented Spawn figures. Waves 1 and 2 were my personal favorites. Wave 2 did give us that big-ass Malbolgia that's just freaking awesome, so at some point I'm going to have to review that. But I wanted to get a video of Angela out because, it's going to tie in with the Flashback Friday I'm going to post tomorrow, so stay tuned for the size comparisons for that. But with that being said, let's now move on to said size comparisons. First up, here's our vintage Angela from Spawn Series 2, next to Spawn 1 from Spawn Series 1, of course, without his cape, but hey, better than nothing, right? As well as her Marvel Legends counterpart, something you probably thought I wouldn't say in one of these Spawn reviews, but don't get used to it because this is a one-time deal. For now, anyways. And last, but certainly not least, we have our two regulars, the Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibulus. A little bit Spawn, as usual, towers over everyone. Even with the heels and that tiara, hers, Angela is still dwarfed by her Dom Bay, good old Al Simmons here. So with that being said, time to wrap things up. Some final thoughts. Overall, and even though good old Angela here is one of my personal favorite figures from the vintage Spawn line, that does not make her the best action figure by any means. Let's be honest here, her articulation's dated, her sculpt and paint details dated, and to a point, her accessories are even dated, but it was the 90s, so let's not kid ourselves. That said, Spawn Waves 1 and 2 are a bit of a guilty pleasure for me because they kind of archive where McFarlane Toys was to where they are nowadays. And even though they're not 100% perfect nowadays, I think they've come a long ways and are a lot better than they used to be. Especially as far as quality is concerned, because let me tell you, a lot of this vintage Spawn stuff, it's not too hard to break it. So with that being said, it is unfortunate that Angela won't be joining alongside the other characters in the new Spawn Universe line because of some licensing agreement or disagreement, depending on how you look at it. But at least we have the Marvel Legends counterpart, which, as I always say, is better than nothing, right? But if you're like me, and want to kind of archive where McFarlane Toys was back in the day, or you just like the vintage Spawn line, this is a definite no-brainer. Now, there were some variants on this figure. There was a clear blue one, there was a solid gold one, I think there was a solid silver one, and then there was one with just silver armor. I think there was a couple other versions where she had different loincloth colors, and of course the pantyless version, otherwise known as the Party Time version. So, you know, if you're a pervert, then by all means have at it, but I do have a couple different versions of this figure, and I'm happy with those. And speaking of different versions, they did release a Cosmic Angela, which is kind of a future version of Angela, a Batman Beyond-esque version, if you will, where she had metal angel wings, a full helmeted head, or if you bought the variant, she had skin on the back of her head, which looked kind of weird because it looked like her head was shaved and she had a ponytail sticking out the back. It was the 90s. It was a weird time. And that one did come with a lot more weapons and didn't have a big arse goofy spear that she can barely hold. So that one, probably the better action figure of the two. I do have that, but it is currently buried on the Spawn shelf, so it's going to take some time before I get around to doing that. But that said, stay tuned to Flashback Fridays tomorrow for a review of the Marvel Legends Angela. I'm definitely looking forward to that. I hope you guys are too. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's edition of Throwback Thursdays, and if you are so inclined, please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you know whenever I upload more reviews like this one. If you haven't already, please hit me up on Instagram at Overlord Productions. But as always, keep the comments civil. This world sucks enough as it is. Until next time, I'll catch you guys later.